we are going to skim through two topics, Azure SQL and Azure Data Studio. Let's get started. First thing, let's talk about what Azure SQL is. So, it's a cloud-based relational database service offered by Microsoft. It offers a full SQL Server experience in the cloud. Azure Data Studio, on the other hand, is a cross-platform database management tool that is designed to work with a variety of database, including Azure SQL. Before we jump into creating our database, it's important to understand the difference between the server and a database. Think of a server as a container. It is the environment where your database lives. So each server can host multiple databases. So let's create our Azure SQL database. Firstly, you will have to create, of course, a Azure account. So yeah, once you have logged in successfully, you will see the screen. Then we have to click on create resource. Then SQL database, or you can also search using this SQL database. So we will select SQL database. Now we will click on create. So you will be redirected to this particular page. So here we can create the SQL database. So resource group, basically resource group is like a container where you can group your resources, and it makes it easier to manage for a particular solution. You can have multiple solutions in your uh, running in your Azure. So for you can group the resources for particular solution, and then you can, if you are done with that, you can delete altogether, and it's easier to manage. So depending on your subscription, you can select whatever you have. I have Visual Studio Professional subscription, so I'm using that. And usually, if you are a student, you must be using the free tier. You can use that, where you get 15,000 credits. 15,000 INR in credits, I believe. You can use that, and I'm leaving it as default. You can always create a new database name. I have already created a server, so to show you, we need to create a server if you are creating it for the first time. So here we need to give a name that is unique to that particular region. uh, so we will select the region that is available for my subscription and give the database server a name. So it would be it will be cloud dev db server, and for authentication we are going with SQL authentication. Give password. Click on OK. So we have created the SQL server. Now we will create the database that we are going to connect through. So we'll keep it simple. Now this will be a development environment, and coming to backup, storage, redundancy, we don't need to actually take any backup for this particular demo. So I think locally redundant would be best, since it replicates data 3 times within a single data center in the same region, and it won't charge me much. So locally redundant, then we can click on next. This part is important since we are going to connect uh, through Azure Data Studio. We need access, so we will give public endpoint, and allow Azure services to use the resources. Right now we are not doing that, so we will leave it as it is. Add current IP address. Yes, why not? Next. I think we can leave it as it is. Next. Next. Review and create. And once you click on create, it is validating, and then once its deployment is done of our resource, we will try to connect it from Azure Data Studio. So as you can see, the deployment is in progress. Once it's done, I will open my Azure Data Studio and I'll show you how to connect. So as you can see, your deployment is complete. Now we click on go to resource. So it will take us to our database, SQL database, and this is the server name. So using this, we will connect with the help of Azure Data Studio. So copy it. Now opening Azure Data Studio, click on this new server or new connection, and then you have to paste the server name which you have copied. SQL login, Microsoft SQL Server, username was cloud admin. So see the test 28 database, and we click on connect, and so we have connected to our uh, SQL server and database, and then I think you can, as you can see, there is no tables right now, so we will create a new table. So right click on the on your selected database and click on new query, and here we will have, here we can write our query. So we are going to create a table employees. I have already written the query for that, and we will click on run. So command executed successfully. If you click refresh on this, and you see our table has been added. Now we are going to insert the record in the table. Click on run. I think it will have our record now, and then we select from the table the data that has been inserted, and you can see the data is already present. So this is how you connect your Azure SQL database to Azure Data Studio and use it. You can also use it in different application. It has connection string as well. So if uh, if you are interested in connecting your Azure database to any of your existing projects and moving your data here, you can also do that. So as you can see, we can click on see connection strings. So for radio.net, it's showing us this, and then for JDBC, ODBC, PHP and Go also we have various connection strings. Now that we have connected and we have already executed, the use of this database is no longer required, so we can delete it. Just have to enter the name and click on delete. This make sure to delete the Azure SQL server that you have created for this particular database as well, or to know to locate all the resources. You just have to select the resource group which you have selected while creating this particular database. Go, and this is but the SQL server that we no longer require, so we go inside this and we can click on delete. So we have to enter the server name and then delete. So this will remove all your changes that you have done, and uh, it won't charge you for this.